Omicron variant, what kind of year will it be for shopping malls in Malaysia? Also, with plans to reopen borders, what kind of impact will it have on shopping tourism? Don't go anywhere. Money Matters starts now. Hello there, welcome to Money Matters. I'm Azaria Tagaya, your host for this week's episode. And today we're talking about shopping malls in Malaysia, retailers, and also malls and how they're doing in the year 2022. With plans to reopen borders in the pipeline as early as March, many are viewing this as an opportunity for the country to revive and rejuvenate the economy further. But what impact will this have on the country's shopping tourism? And also in the past few years, we can say that shopping malls have been seeing smaller crowds at times, a fall in foot traffic, if you may, owing, of course, to the COVID-19 pandemic. But what will the year 2022 hold for shopping malls in Malaysia? Well, to shed some light on this topic, today joining us on Money Matters, we have Malaysia Shopping Malls Association President Tan Sri Teo Chiang Kok joining us. Hello, Tan Sri. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure to have you on Money Matters today. Well, Tan Sri, first things first, with the COVID-19 pandemic and this new variant, do you think that this is going to be yet another challenging year for both malls and also retailers?
Well, ironically, the Omicron may turn out to be a blessing in disguise.
I see. Why?
Because it's come at a time when most of us are vaccinated, many of us are boosted, and the Omicron so far has only caused a cold-like symptom, so it is not severe kind of thing. And because of the fast infectivity of this Omicron, we may reach natural immunization faster. So ironically, it may become a good thing.
I understand. Yeah. Okay. Well, with the surge in COVID-19 cases currently, there's a renewed call for people to go back to the work-from-home method, or WFH. What kind of impact do you think this will have on shoppers and malls?
Well, because the symptoms and the impact of Omicron is mild when you're vaccinated, I don't think it is necessary to work from home. Because working from home, the productivity and efficiency drops. I think with this Omicron lower threat, I don't think it's necessary to work from home. It is better to take this opportunity to quickly come back to work and work productively to help the business revive and the economy revive.
I see. But what if people do adopt the work-from-home method for their own safety? Seeing the situation last year and 2 years back, when people work from home, do you see people visiting malls more, or do the numbers dwindle somewhat?
Well, of course, when there is a lockdown or there's a MCO that restrict movements, the people coming out is obviously restricted. And during those periods, the foot traffic in the malls are very, very small. Yeah.
Okay. Well, with plans to reopen international borders, what kind of impact will this have on shopping tourism and shopping tourism receipts?
Well, most countries are now talking about reopening their borders. And I think Malaysia should be in the same situation. As you know, a lot of our retail trade also depends on tourism trade. So we need this tourism to come and help us recover faster.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
one thing to say is that a tourist comes to visit a country, the most flexible part of their budget is shopping budget. Right? If you've got things to buy, they can exceed their budget very extremely.
Yeah, it's often the biggest part of someone's travel.
Yeah, that's right. So we should try and make Malaysia a very shopping haven, especially which is tax-free shopping haven, to attract more tourists to help our economy.
Okay, so you think that even with COVID-19, that this year is going to pick up a little bit?
Well, it all depends on how we send a message. That's why we are advocating that the government do not report a single number of infections. I think it's more important the government report the hospitalization numbers and explain clearer that the number of infection is not so relevant in a Omicron situation where the impact is mild. So the government should send a message that our hospitals are well equipped, we have capacity, and we build more confidence for people to come out and participate and live a normal life as soon as possible.
Okay, so as a consumer, what should someone do in order to gauge the safety when they are going out to shopping malls?
Well, the shopping mall, all our members of the shopping mall association are advised to have the gatekeeping very seriously, where only people whose Sagittara shows that they are low risk and no symptom are allowed to go in. Therefore, effectively, what we are trying to create is that everybody who comes into the mall is into a green bubble. Because all our staff have to be screened before coming in, all the shoppers have to be screened before coming in. So it is actually a green bubble by itself.
I see. So,
and the malls have also did a lot of things over this time to improve the environment. We have installed hospital-grade filters in our air conditioning system, put in UV lights to kill the viruses before replenishing the air. All those steps are done, more sanitization, more cleaning. Yeah.
And I'm sure malls have their own SOPs in terms of cleaning that has been, I think, elevated in a sense from previous years. For instance, now they have more sanitization. It's carried out more frequently. Is that correct, Tan Sri?
Yes, exactly. The SOP also requires to do more frequent cleaning. But it's also good that we make sure that we keep a safe environment for shoppers, not only for shoppers, but also for our staff and our retail frontliners.
I see. Well, we can expect more malls to open their doors perhaps in the next year. But we want to talk about what the outlook is going to be for these malls and how we can expect consumers to embrace shopping malls more effectively in 2022. But that will be in just a moment, Tan Sri. We're going for a short break. After this, we're going to be talking about easing the burden of shopping malls in the country. When we come back on Money Matters, don't go anywhere. Thanks for staying with us on Money Matters. We're still with our guest, President of the Malaysia Shopping Malls Association, Tan Sri Teo Chiang Kok. Tan Sri, before the break, we talked a little bit about how the COVID-19 pandemic has had an effect on shopping malls in Malaysia. But do you foresee that 2022 more shopping malls are going to be opening their doors, with a lot of them delayed previously due to the pandemic? What do you think?
Well, on the horizon, we only know that there are a few more handful of malls slated to open this year. Building a mall takes a long time, from research to planning to construction and approval. So on the horizon, as we know, only a handful will be ready to open this year.
How many do you think?
What we know so far is about 3.
I see.
3 more to open, yeah.
Well, I actually went to one of the new malls in Malaysia that just opened last month.
Right.
I went yesterday, and the reception has been okay. As a consumer looking at people going to shopping malls, the reception has been okay. I think people are more able to gauge now that they are safe in the shopping mall environment, because shopping malls are taking care of the consumers as well. Well, let's talk a little bit about government's assistance to shopping malls so far in terms of discount to electricity bills, wage subsidies, moratorium and tax reliefs. How do you think these have been able to help shopping malls in Malaysia ease their burden so far?
Well, during the lockdown, during the MCO period, a lot of shops were not allowed to open. And even with the reopening after that, sales takes time to build up. And all the assistance that the government has granted has been most useful, because in that kind of period, saving cash flow is the most important ingredient, or the only ingredient to save your business. And all the assistance the government has given us really helps every bit.
Indeed, indeed. Let's talk a little bit about shoppers' trends. Before this, we were able to go to the shopping malls and, like test out lipstick, go and try something before you buy it. But now I think those trends have changed a little bit somewhat. How have those trends changed and what impact has it had on shoppers?
Well, I think the lockdown has forced people to seek more information on products and services on the internet, and also experience e-commerce. So a lot of malls and retailers have responded by also introducing the e-commerce platform for their customers.
Yes.
So the businesses are responding to the market demand. But over the last few months, we have seen the crowd coming back enthusiastically. And there is no substitute for going to the mall to touch and feel the goods you try, the goods you want.
Yes, it's more tangible.
Yeah, and also I think we are social beings, right? It is always important that we go out with friends, we enjoy laughter and company, and especially for family bonding. So I think going to the mall or coming out as outings would be there. The e-commerce will probably settle down to become a place for convenient shopping, buying the mundane things, the run-of-the-mill things, where you do not need to really try it or fit it or feel it.
Indeed, indeed. Well, talking about e-commerce, a lot of shopping malls have had to embrace this new trend, going digital these days. But what are among some of the challenges that may be faced by these malls in embracing e-commerce? For example, perhaps they have to update their in-store information and their website day to day or minute by minute. What some of other challenges do you see malls are faced with these days?
Well, most malls and even retailers, a lot of them are already digitizing. They are automated, they are computerized. So to track and accommodate e-commerce is just another application onto their system. So far, we have seen the retailers adopting e-commerce means they have actually found a way to just add on to their computerized programs to enable e-commerce to be conducted.
I see. So a lot of shopping malls are embracing e-commerce, actually.
Well, you can't run away from the fact that there will be some e-commerce trades to be done, and it is wise for retailers and malls to cater for that portion of trade.
What about consumers and the impact of this digitization on consumers? Do you think consumers are also being equally receptive to this new way of shopping?
Well, the pandemic have accelerated the adoption, but looking at Europe and looking at China, even the e-commerce, those who started as e-commerce first, are going back into investing in bricks and mortar. So it just shows that the bricks and mortar, the going out to shop physically, is still a very important factor to complement e-commerce.
Indeed, indeed. Well, as you said, consumers have been sort of forced to embrace this new way of shopping, this new trend. What if the pandemic never happened? Do you think that this would apply to shopping malls these days? Because once you go digital and embrace e-commerce, you can see that you can actually grow your business better in this way. But perhaps they wouldn't have discovered this if the pandemic never happened. What do you think?
Well, even before the pandemic, e-commerce was growing. And the pandemic accelerated the adoption. So it's a longer term, I think is a good thing that we seek a balance between e-commerce and brick and mortar shopping.
I see. Okay, well, Tan Sri, after this breather, we're going to be talking about how the shopping mall sector's contribution to the national economy. But we're going to go for another short breather. Don't go anywhere. Money Matters will be back after this. Back with us on Money Matters, you're still with me, Azaria Tagaya, and we are speaking to the president of the Malaysia Shopping Malls Association, Tan Sri Teo Chiang Kok. Tan Sri, you mentioned earlier that a few more shopping malls will be expected to open their doors in 2022, but how can Malaysia actually attract more foreign retailers?
Well, actually, our Malaysian market is quite small, relatively, because our population is small. So we need to find other means of attracting these foreign retailers. One of very important component to our retail trade is tourism. So we have to now market our tourism and tourism attractions better and more aggressively to bring in the tourist trade.
Indeed.
And that will help us expand our market, retail market, and that would be the key to attract foreign investors, foreign retailers to come in.
Indeed. Well, Tan Sri, the shopping mall industry commands an estimated real estate value of about 145 billion ringgit as of December 2020, and the retail industry contributed 34.6% of Malaysia's GDP. Is there much difference for the figures for 2021, and how many malls have had to shut down due to the pandemic so far?
Well, the figures for 2021 has not been announced yet. We feel that there will be some drop because, obviously, because of MCO. But fortunately, so far, only a couple of malls have closed to redevelop the land and also to repurpose the mall. So it's not that impactful yet. Yeah, I think I don't foresee any more malls really closing, but there will be opportunities for malls to repurpose or to redevelop.
Perhaps rebranding and stuff like that.
Well, add in a new component, maybe.
Okay, well, investors appear to be looking at ESG-related ratings or environmental and social governance. So as we look at sustainable townships, how will this actually affect the growth of malls in the future, especially in improving the values and also at the same time reducing the costs?
Well, I personally think ESG is just a buzzword, right? And I think the people who are immediately impacted will be probably those exporters, because the importing countries will probably impose stricter compliance or faster compliance. But the three components of ESG, environment, governance, and social, are good components. And I think we should embrace it. Actually, even before this pandemic, or before the announcement of ESG, a lot of this requirement for green buildings, CSR, are demanded by MNCs when they choose to locate to which building they want to locate or to open in buildings. They want to make sure that their headquarters require them to take into account all those factors. So it's a push factor. So our consumers and tenants, potentially, will push us towards adopting faster ESG. And I feel complying with ESG may be a cost, but I think it can be counterbalanced with savings. When you have good governance, you do not have so much wastages, and you're more efficient. So I think it can counterbalance and come out ahead.
Okay, well, I understand, Tan Sri, there are about 500,000 workers in the retail industry. Given the significant contributions made by the retail industry so far, how did malls and retailers actually manage to control the vaccination process of these retail workers, of these frontliners?
Well, actually, I'm very proud of our mall members. When the idea of having a temporary vaccination centers in the mall, most of the mall operators spontaneously agreed to sponsor and pay for the operation of the vaccination centers. I think it's a good thing because our frontliners, our retailer frontliners, our customer service people are very vulnerable. More than anybody else, because they serve different groups of shoppers all the time.
Yes.
Compared to an office worker, he is always with his own group of people booking the same. So they come in waves.
Yes.
So getting our frontliners vaccinated is a good thing, not only to safeguard them, but also safeguard the shoppers.
Okay.
So it's a win-win.
Is the association satisfied with the process so far, especially including also the booster shot for the frontliners?
Well, I think in general, Malaysians are very enthusiastic about getting vaccinated.
Yes, getting safe.
And also getting boosted.
Yeah.
So whether you are in the retail trade or in other trades, I think the enthusiasm to get vaccinated is there. So we are fortunate. We don't have much anti-vaxxers around.
I see. Yeah. Well, Tan Sri, we have about a few minutes more left before we wrap up. Before we leave you, Tan Sri, any parting thoughts for perhaps consumers and also retailers in facing the challenges that will be awaiting in 2022?
Well, I must first congratulate our Minister of Health to take away, to review the SOPs constantly. For instance, the latest one is the removing the temperature taking, because based on science and data, temperature reading is not really relevant or accurate. So it is good that we review SOPs quickly in the changing circumstances, so that the faster we review and relax and take away all the impractical parts of the SOPs, the faster or the better chance we have for the retailers to recover, for the economy to recover.
Indeed,
Yeah.
Tan Sri. Well, that's all the time we have for this episode. For the past half hour, you've been with Tan Sri Teo Chiang Kok, the Malaysia Shopping Malls Association President. Tan Sri, we appreciate your time with Money Matters.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to you.
Thank you. It's our pleasure indeed. Do join us again next week, same day, same time, for more money insights that matter. I'm Azaria Tagaya. Take care.